The movie starts with a green Mustang driving through Bellwood. The driver switches on the nitrous oxide and speeds through an abandoned industrial area. Kevin hops out of the car and speaks to Fitz about a purchase. Fitz explains he is just a middleman and doesn't know the answers to Kevin's questions. Suddenly, the sound of motorbikes fills the empty factory. 2 motorbikes arrive in front of Kevin with silver briefcases. They ask if Kevin is the buyer. The 3 people on the motorbikes are the ones selling Kevin the alien technology Fitz brought. Kevin asks them what it does, but they can't tell him. So, Kevin asks them if they can consult with his partners. That's when we meet with Ben and Gwen. Ben, Gwen, and Kevin don't know what it is. Kevin says it might be level 9 alien tech. Suddenly, the Omnitrix starts to act up from being in proximity to the tech. The seller asks the group who they are. The seller is answered by the person he came with. She says that the 3 of them are plumbers. They are a secret interplanetary security force. They save the world. Ben, Gwen, and Kevin act like she is lying. Suddenly, the mysterious person behind the bike helmet removes her helmet. This is Elena Validus. She is also a plumber's kid like Ben and Gwen. Ben explains to Kevin that they used to hang out with her back in the day, till her father quit his job as a plumber. Elena explains to Ben that he was told a lie and that her father never quit. Ben asks her what is she doing selling illegal alien tech. Elena says she came looking for Ben. Her father has been abducted and she needs his help finding him. Kevin says she should call the cops. She says her father's disappearance is linked to the alien chips and the cops won't be able to help. Suddenly, the alien chips begin reacting. Fitz runs off and suddenly the chips escape from their pods. We see a man in the distance controlling them. Ben's Omnitrix is no longer working when they are being attacked by the nanochips. Gwen uses her powers to fight them off by shooting a blast. Kevin absorbs the material of the metal framework of the building and his outer body becomes metal. The sellers quickly hop on their bikes and ride off. The nanochips break down the structure of the building. Gwen believes they must be someone controlling them. They are too organized. Ben sees the man in the distance controlling the nanobots. Ben goes for the Omnitrix. It is finally working, and Ben wants to turn into Spider Monkey, but ends up as Big Chill, an ice-breathing alien. Ben freezes the nanochips, but they escape. Ben tries to attack the man as Big Chill. Suddenly, the man disappears with the help of the nanochips after sending out an attack on Gwen, who is saved by Kevin. The 3 of them leave the factory and go to a repair shop, where they look for Grandpa Max, but someone asks Ben if he is going to the game. Ben says no because he has homework. They enter the secret center behind the repair shop and use the comp center to hopefully figure out where the nanochips are from. They have never seen something like it. The nanochips are both dead and alive, inorganic and organic. Gwen uses her powers to try and figure out where the chips are from, but can't figure it out. Ben suggests they could ask Elena where they are coming from. Gwen says they can't ask Elena where they are coming from. Gwen thinks Elena can't be trusted, and Gwen also thinks they can't trust Grandpa Max about it. Just then Max comes in and sees what they are working on. The nanochips look familiar. He's seen them before. Ben asks Grandpa Max for an explanation, but before Grandpa Max can do that, the security systems go off. Someone is in the building. Grandpa asks Kevin to punch up a tracker on the complex nanochips. Gwen does it for them instead. The intruders are in Grandpa Max's office, and when the gang arrives, the intruder is nowhere to be found. They see it's Elena. She tells Grandpa Max she set up the sale of the illegal chips to get their help. Grandpa Max says he doesn't want to hear it. He tells her to leave. Elena tells everyone that Grandpa Max threw her and her father out when they needed them most. Grandpa says it is all a lie. He explains she is Victor Validus's daughter. Grandpa says Validus was the best plumber he ever trained, and Grandpa trusted him with his life. Grandpa was planning on one day leaving Validus in charge of the plumbers, till he one day found out that he was stealing alien tech. Validus was given a dishonorable discharge. Ben explains to Grandpa that she can't be treated like this because of the actions of her father. Grandpa tells Ben that she can't be trusted. Their family is blacklisted and there cannot be any interaction between them and the plumbers. Ben explains that Elena is a friend that is in trouble, and she is the best link to the chips and their origin. Grandpa says that it is up to them to solve this issue by the book. Ben says that is the wrong decision. Grandpa says he orders Ben to stay away from her. Ben refuses to do that. Ben asks if Gwen and Kevin will join him, but they both decline. Ben leaves and looks for Elena on his bike. Ben decides that he will help her find her dad, and they ride off on their motorcycles. Gwen explains to Kevin that Elena was Ben's first crush in middle school. Gwen asks Kevin what he's doing on the computer. Kevin tells Gwen he is looking for the information on the nanochips since they should be on the system, but the system denies him access. Gwen tells Kevin he should ask Max, but Kevin says Grandpa Max won't talk about it. Kevin and Gwen decide they will break the code for Grandpa's personal computer to help Ben. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a strange man walks through an alleyway talking to himself. He bumps into robbers who ask for his wallet. The man fights them off and uses the nanochips to infect and control the two of them. We see the man's face. The strange man is Victor Validus. They are under his control and follow him. Meanwhile, Ben and Elena ride their bikes into the city. Elena explains that her father started acting weird. She followed him one night and ended up at this place. They get off their bikes and walk into the building. All the while, Victor Validus watches them. Validus sends his goons down. Elena tells Ben that he had a chemical lab in the building. One day, Victor stopped coming home. All the while, Ben and Elena search the building for him. All the while, Validus is packing the back of a van with boxes. He sends his goons away to the final staging ground. Ben and Elena look around his office. Ben tells Elena that her father was upgrading the chips, not studying them. Elena tells Ben that her father thought that the chips were more dangerous than the plumbers believed. When he found out he was right, the plumbers refused to help him. Ben tells Elena that her father has business with ShipIt. Ben thinks her father was sending the chips somewhere else. Ben tells her whoever has her dad wanted the chips. Suddenly, a group of people enters the office. They say they are there to help them. Ben notices there is a strange look in their eyes and there is a chip moving in their necks. Ben and Elena realize that those people are being controlled. Ben's Omnitrix is not working, so they decide that they should escape through the back door. Ben and Elena end up by their bikes surrounded by zombie-like people being controlled by the chips. Ben realizes that the Omnitrix might not be working because it is in overdrive to scan the alien chips. Ben realizes that he can redirect the scan to the chips and blows them away. This gives them enough time to ride off. Ben tells her that they should visit the ShipIt center because the parcel is due to be sent off that day. Meanwhile, Kevin and Gwen look through Grandpa Max's interrogation of Victor Validus. Kevin and Gwen realize that Grandpa Max's history with Validus might be impeding his judgment and that Ben might be right. Kevin tells Gwen that the chips are showing up in a 100-mile radius. Gwen finds a cluster of chips concentrated at a shipping yard. They travel to the shipping yard to an empty building. Gwen uses her telepathy to scan the building. Gwen and Kevin just missed them. They see the parcel slips and realize that the chips may have been sent all over the world. Then suddenly a ShipIt employee appears who is being controlled by the chips. He tells them they shouldn't leave. Gwen and Kevin notice a strange look in his eyes. The man is not himself. The man tells them they have to remain. Kevin throws him out the window and they get in Kevin's car about to leave, when suddenly the ShipIt employee appears behind them. He controls nanochips and sends them to attack Kevin and Gwen in their car. The chips form into spheres and hit Kevin's car. They escape in time, but they are followed by the nanochips that form into a giant ball, big enough to crush Kevin's car. Kevin manages to evade them for a moment, but they stay close behind him. Kevin decides it's time he switches on his nitrous oxide. Meanwhile, Ben and Elena are looking for the ShipIt offices. When they hear Kevin's car, the two of them decide to take a detour. Kevin's car gets destroyed and flips into the air by the nanochips. Kevin and Gwen are okay and get out of the car. Suddenly, they see a giant sphere above them made of spikes. They have to face it now. That is when Ben and Elena finally arrive and the Omnitrix is working. Ben transforms into Humongosaur and fights the nanochips. It looks like Ben might be losing until he finally escapes and uses Kevin's car to destroy the chips. Kevin and Gwen think Elena is leading Ben to the nanochips and putting him at risk. Ben says they can't leave her. She is in too much danger alone and he trusts her. Meanwhile, Grandpa Max is in the plumber headquarters. Nanochips have begun attacking people all over the world. Ben and Elena come into the headquarters and Grandpa tells Elena she should stay in the brig. Ben tells Grandpa it's Validus's chips. Grandpa doesn't believe him, but Gwen comes in and confirms it. The chips Validus stole have become active. Grandpa scans them and says it's impossible. Grandpa asks Kevin to track them down again using their unusual energy signature. They discover nanochips are all over the world. Elena and her father were right. They have to figure out how to fight the battle without hurting the people infected. They plan and research to figure out where the Queen might be in the world. The group decides they have to kill the Queen to win the battle. Elena thanks Ben for helping her and trusting her when no one else did. Suddenly, Grandpa gets infected by one of the nanobots and tries to attack Ben. They restrain him. Grandpa Max reveals the nanochip's plan to take over the world and destroy the plumbers. Grandpa Max escapes and disappears without a trace. Ben decides they have to quickly find and destroy the Queen to free Grandpa Max before it's too late. They go to the computer and scan for the Queen's whereabouts. Ben looks at the map and realizes that the nanochips are in all of the world's major cities, but one city in particular stands out. A small town in Missouri is where the World Distribution Center for Ship It is located. That might be where the Queen is, but they need to figure out how they're going to get there. Kevin decides it's time to unveil the birthday present he built for Ben, a brand new car. The gang is off to Missouri in the new car. They finally arrive in Missouri and see the Ship It headquarters, occupied by people hard at work, shipping parcels like an army. All the crates are filled with chips. The group goes into the Ship It headquarters. They see Grandpa at the site, working like all the others. They walk into a building and see people working on the chips like an assembly line. When they finally see Victor Validus filled with pipes, pumping out chips, he is the Queen. The group attacks Elena for lying about her father being the Queen. Kevin tells Ben that he has to take out Validus to kill the Queen and save the world. Ben doesn't want to and decides he might be able to keep the chips dormant and save Validus. Gwen tells Ben that if Ben gets absorbed by the hive, the fight will be over. They would have lost. Ben tells Gwen that is what he wants to do. He wants to fight the hive from the inside by becoming one of them. Gwen tells Ben that he might not know what he is doing. He could be absorbed and controlled if he becomes one of the nanochips. Suddenly, Elena is captured by one of the hive minds. The group's position has been compromised and they have to fight. Ben uses the Omnitrix and turns into a new alien, a nanomechanical organism like the chips. He flies across the factory and goes straight for Validus to fight the Queen. The voice of the Queen tries to control Ben. He fights to keep control of his mind. Ben and the Queen begin a fight within Validus, while Elena, Kevin, and Gwen fight the hive people outside. Ben hits the Queen with a powerful blow that kills her. The nanobots are all destroyed and Validus and the people infected return to their former selves, free from the chips. Ben saved the day, and they are united with Grandpa Max. They make up for their fight over him running away from the plumbers. Max apologizes to Victor for not listening, and Victor apologizes for not working in a team when looking at the nanochips. Validus thanks Ben for his help, and they all leave the Ship It headquarters. Grandpa Max asks Ben if he wants to take over the plumbers. Ben tells Grandpa Max he is not ready for it. Then Ben, Gwen, Kevin, and Elena drive off into the sunset in the new car. Thrilling film comes to an end. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. I'll be back with another interesting movie recap. Until then, take care.